Good morning. You're listening to Caregiver Crossing. It's a podcast brought to you by Joyce House. We're so happy that you're here today. Caregiver Crossing is a podcast created just for you, the caregiver. And you're listening to the best of Caregiver Crossing. Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing 93 WIBC. Terry, Stacy, Candace Preston, and also our friend Jeff Grotemeyer from American Senior Communities. And joining us now on the INHP.org phone line this morning is our friend Greg Seiter. He's the Public Affairs Manager with AAA Hoosier Motor Club. How are you, Greg?
Doing great, thank you.
Glad to have you with us this morning. We hear that there is some new research from AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety. And this is really concerning because it's about driving while using medications. And we were just talking before we got you on the air here with us. We're all doing this, right? I mean, not necessarily just seniors, but we all are driving with some sort of medication because we think we're okay.
Well, that's very true. And the danger in particular relative to this situation and the study is that nearly 50% of all older drivers report using 7 or more meds at the same time while continuing to drive. So you can just imagine the effects of 1 or 2 different types of medication. Now, if you're talking about 6, 7 different types, there are a lot of dangers, a lot of issues out there that really need to be addressed.
Wow.
It's actually really scary.
Yeah, I'm blown away by that number 7. I wasn't even thinking that.
Yeah. You think like the concoction of mixtures of medication and the side effects that all that could cause. It's actually kind of scary.
Well, it is, and some of these drugs are referred to as potentially inappropriate medications, not meaning that they're dangerous per se, but a lot of these are, well, most of them anyway referred to in the study are first-generation antihistamines and things of that nature that are known to cause different types of impairment, such as blurred vision, confusion, fatigue, even a lack of coordination. So when you combine those with an older driver who may have some naturally occurring challenges, such as vision reduction or hearing loss, things of that nature, yes, once again, I mean, we're talking about something that could potentially create a lot of dangerous situations on our roadways.
So, Greg, as we continue to age and are living more vibrant lives as we get older, is that risk going to go up as we continue to age and drive and live such active lives?
Well, it is. Currently, there's a record 42 million adults ages 65 and older on America's roadways. That number is expected to increase substantially over the next decade to the extent that this particular age group will represent the largest driving population on the road. So it's a good idea. It's a good thing that we're addressing this and thinking about it now, because over the next few years, the number of drivers potentially impacted by these types of medications and their possible interactions, it's really going to increase substantially.
Jeff, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm I'm starting to think that now, a great thing to do is to really hook our caregivers and our seniors up with the Ubers and the deliveries and the different things like that, because you obviously can't have them not take the medicine. So,
medicine comes first, right?
Right. They have to have the medical benefit of that, and then the driving piece. So what do you see happening there, Greg, in terms of how people really react to this problem overall?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the drivers report, the motorists report themselves that they don't even realize there are any issues, that there are any problems. Also, a lot of those drivers are, as they take these additional medications, in some cases they're being prescribed by multiple doctors. So we lack the overall ability to potentially compare the interactions and possibly look out for what could be a potential dangerous situation. So researchers are finding, such as some of the most common meds that are being used right now involve cardiovascular related and central nervous system related. So those could obviously be coming from different prescriptions, different doctors, and we do see an increase in the need for older drivers to potentially consider, especially if they're on these types of medications, to consider some different types of transportation because, as you mentioned, we certainly don't want them to stop taking the meds, but we need to work out a balance here.
I think what's interesting as I look across at some of this research, previous research from the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety found that fewer than 18% of older drivers report ever having received a warning from their healthcare provider about how these prescriptions could impact their safety on the road. That's alarming.
It is.
Or is it true? Is it true? Could it possibly been told and maybe that's just not heard?
Well, that's true, and that's why we try to emphasize to some of the older Americans that it's a great idea to have someone go with them to their respective doctor appointments. That way there's a backup there. There's someone there who can additionally hear what's being said. And we also emphasize the importance of these drivers going prepared. So write down whatever vitamins, whatever supplements or prescribed meds that you're currently on or about to begin taking, and take those to your doctor's appointments with you. Ask those questions. Be sure to ask all the questions that you can about drug interaction and how these types of things could potentially interact or affect your driving. There are just a lot of issues out there that we really need to address.
Yeah, I think you make a great point, Greg. A lot of people, and the top of the article that we've been looking over today, it talks about those central nervous system drugs and cardiovascular things. I think all of us realize opioids would have an impact, but your research here is talking about just so many of the common medicines that people are on, and it doesn't even take 7 of those to really make a difference, does it?
Well, you yourself.
Yes, I did.
I
shared a story. I took an extra antihistamine, and between fatigue and not eating,
right.
I was loopy. There was no way I needed to be on the road, and I'm certainly not hitting 65 at this point.
Yeah.
Well, and you make a valid point there because these types of drugs obviously affect people at all ages. So potentially we have all ages of drivers out there, younger drivers, older drivers who are experiencing some of these interactions, some of these challenges, and then, of course, you factor in inclement weather, reduced daylight, you factor in distracted driving, road rage. There's so many other variables out there that are already wreaking havoc on motorists and challenging them. And when you combine some of these issues relative to drugs and some of the possible side effects, there are some really potentially dangerous situations occurring.
Greg Seiter is our guest on the INHP.org phone line. He is with AAA Hoosier Motor Club, and I'll tell you, there is some really great information. www.aaa.com for more information. But come prepared. Write down any vitamins, supplements, and prescribed over-the-counter medications you take. Take that list with you to every medical appointment, because a lot of us have several different doctors, and especially as we age, you've got a handful of doctors, right? I mean, that's coming from a lot of different doctors.
Yes, that's true, and those are great tips. And we also talked about discussing alternatives, looking at different types of transportation options as well. You also can consider the possibility of changing your dosage if it's possible to do so, and even timing those dosages so that you can potentially avoid conflicts while you're driving out on the roadways. So one other website I wanted to point out very quickly, a great source for information, it's seniordriving.aaa.com. That's specifically geared toward senior adults. There are a lot of great tips and wonderful snippets of information out there. People can really utilize those resources to help them in some of these challenges.
Seniordriving.aaa.com. Greg, it's always good to talk to you. Thank you so much. Stay safe on the roadways, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
You bet. This is Caregiver Crossing 93 WIBC.
And a huge thank you to our friends that support us, AARP, also our friends at American Village, a senior living community right here in Indianapolis, and Majestic Care, providing community-based skilled nursing throughout Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan.